What made Call of Duty campaigns so good? That's the question I want to ask today. Not about Bioshock, even though this element's probably in Bioshock or Fallout or any of those other examples. I want to talk about why the Call of Duty campaigns are so good and this element that's used in them so often, and why they also are used in movies and other video games that make them so beautiful. Now, obviously, you do have the fun factor in the Call of Duty campaigns where you're this badass juggernaut who pretty much can take any shot, whether it's to the head, to the chest, to the leg. It doesn't matter. You're just going to keep moving. You're just going to keep mowing down dudes. That's pretty much the whole entire campaign, right? And that is a fun factor. Everyone loves to escape from coming home from that 9 to 5 job or coming home from school or something like that. Everyone loves to escape and just believe that they're a badass. But the other part that really made these campaigns shine was the fact that you had other people with you that were also badasses. But what made the campaign so good was not the fact that you were just a badass, but obviously the characters and the emotions they made you feel when playing the game. Now, I think the number one example of this, or the emotion that they use so often, is a little thing that I like to call the light switch effect, where it basically flips your whole entire emotions upside down. So, picture a light switch. You have your on, and then you have your off. So the on part of the light switch in the Call of Duty campaigns is when you are a badass and when all your friends around you are also badasses. Simply, you guys are killing everybody. You're running through anything. You've seen these guys survive everything at hand, and you know that they can kill everybody. Except for the fact that some of them are bad AI, but you know that they're badasses in your heart overall. So the thing is, though, is that just like a light switch, it can be turned on and off. Sadly, though, when the light switch is flipped off, we see these characters become these powerless objects, basically. Just some more code in the video game. No more are they these characters that have been badasses with us the whole entire time. They are simply just coded cutscenes that are meant to do nothing more than just die right in front of you. And that's the light switch effect right there. You have a light switch that's on. It's you being a badass. It's you being a badass with all your friends, and they just flip it off. And now you have to watch your friends die in front of you. And the thing is, though, is that it's not the fact that they're not badasses anymore. Because you can still be a badass in the game, obviously. You've come to custom to you being a badass, to you doing anything. But in this cutscene, or in this basically scripted whole entire scene right here, you have to simply watch your friends die right in front of you that are supposed to be badasses, and you're supposed to be a badass. You're supposed to stop this, right? But you can't. You are just another powerless object scripted to just watch everyone die around you. And they're practically taking your emotions and taking everything you've already believed about yourself in the game and the characters around you and flipping it, doing a complete 180. And if you want to think, oh, maybe that didn't happen all the time, look at any of the examples. Modern Warfare 2 of Ghost.
We have the DSM. We got it, sir. Good. That's one less loose end. No!
Another example would be Modern Warfare 3 of Soap, for instance, or another example of it being a failure would be Advanced Warfare, where the first mission you are with one of your best buddies, right? And you don't know he's a badass, though. You guys just signed in the Marines, I guess, in the mission. I haven't played Advanced Warfare personally in so long, but I do remember this mission. I think you guys all remember this mission. You guys actually played the game. So, you and your buddy, you guys are fighting all the bad dudes, obviously. It's whatever, right? And then your buddy gets his arm stuck in like a helicopter, right? And you have to let go of your buddy to blow up the helicopter because that's the end of the mission. Now, the thing is, though, is that the light switch was not used at all an instance there. See, what they did was the creators of the game, Sledgehammer, saw that, oh, well, I know what we'll do. We'll create one of these characters, have them be like a close buddy of yours, and then they die in front of you, right? Because that's what triggers the people's emotions. That's what triggers everyone's emotion about Ghost's death and then Soap's death, which wasn't true, though. That's not what actually happened, though. That's not the light switch in full effect. I think the most obvious way that you can tell that the light switch effect does matter and does cause emotional response. Infinite Warfare with Ethan's death and Mac's death. Now, I'm sorry if I have spoiled Infinite Warfare's campaign, but I'm assuming that you guys by now have played the campaign, or maybe you are looking into playing the campaign, or you just hate Infinite Warfare overall, because we all know the backlash that I got. But Infinite Warfare's death of Ethan and Max are very different, even though they should seem the same. See, with Max's death, it's kind of the basic formula. It's her going into like a little capsule or something like that where the robots are, right? And she's holding a bomb with her, okay? And you are also holding onto Mac as she holds the bomb. Now you have to let go of Mac and let go of her so she can blow up a thing and blow up like the space station that's delivering all these robots in the little tube system, right? However, though, with Mac, throughout the game of Infinite Warfare, Mac's not with you the whole entire time. You don't know that Mac's a badass. You haven't come custom to Mac being a badass or helping you 24/7. Mac is normally just at home base helping you with the ships or something like that. Or she's always working with the ships or something like that. That was like her job, right? But you never saw her be a badass with you until the final mission where they have to help you or where she has to help you. And that's when she dies. But she wasn't with you in the beginning. Now let's look at Ethan's death, though. Because with Ethan's death, Ethan was with you from the beginning. You know Ethan's a badass. They make this apparent in like the first mission that you play of Ethan, that he saves your life. And then finally when Ethan's death does come up, you see the light switch effect again. Ethan is known to be a badass character, and so are you in the campaign. But Ethan has to die in order for you guys to complete the mission. The worst part is, though, is that you have to make the final decision to let Ethan die in order to complete the mission. And this is where you see the light switch effect on full throttle instead of just being at 50% with Mac's death. See, with Ethan's death, you're the badass, and so is Ethan. But now you simply have to basically let your friend die and also watch your friend be a powerless object and simply just die in order to complete the mission. That's the light switch effect. And you've been with them the whole entire time. But with Mac's death, you have to watch them die in front of you. And you have to be powerless, right? And you are also a badass, so you should be able to save them. But it's missing that last piece, which is the fact that Mac wasn't with you the entire time. See, in order for the light switch effect to be fully effective on the person they're trying to convey the emotional response to, is you have to have these preconceived notions about these characters or grow accustomed to these characters, basically. And if you don't, then there is no reaction there. It's like completing a math problem but only doing half the work. The light switch effect is also used in movies, though. And I'll be referencing two movies here. Dead Poets Society and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Now, if you haven't seen these movies, I recommend you guys go watch them because they're actually on Netflix right now. So I recommend you guys instantly go watch them and then come back to this video. And you guys will be able to actually see where the light switch effect is used in these two movies. So the first movie is Dead Poets Society. So I'm going to keep this kind of under the wraps for people that maybe are still watching the video even though they haven't seen the movie yet. Because I don't want to spoil anything because these are two amazing movies I think everyone should see. So Dead Poets Society, we use the characters Todd and Neil. Now, with Todd and Neil, we automatically become accustomed to what we think of them. And what we think of them is Todd is an outgoing type of person who's kind of courageous and doing his own thing, and he's ready for it. He's taking on the world at hand. And Neil is also kind of in that same boat with him. They're not necessarily badasses, but they're standing up for what they think is fun and what they think is right. For example, the Poetry Club and Neil going into acting. Now, this is where we kind of get into spoiler territory here, and if you want to see the light switch effect in another movie, I do recommend skipping to the Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'll put up the time on the video right about now, and skipping to that one, because that's not really a spoiler when I talk about it in the Breakfast at Tiffany's movie, but this is a very big spoiler for Dead Poets Society. So we already have the two things checked off in the list on the light switch effect, which is we have customs or grown customs to what we think these characters are like and what we think of them, right? We think these guys are outgoing and are taking the world head on. Now, sadly though, when Neil commits suicide, we don't see that anymore. We automatically have light switch happen because now we see one of the characters who were taking the world head on automatically become powerless and kill himself, which is Neil. But then we also have the final piece, which is Todd, a character who's also taking the world head on, but now he has to simply watch and not even watch, but know that while he was sleeping, his best friend kills himself. And there we go. The light switch effect at full throttle. We think we know the characters, and we already have these assumptions about the characters and know how we feel about these characters. They're badass, they're taking the world head on. And then the script flips it on you, does a complete 180. And now both of these characters are powerless, especially Todd, who now has to live with the fact that his best friend killed himself and he couldn't do anything about it. However, though, in movies, and video games too, probably, I just haven't found the example yet for it, it's not only used to show like being a badass and then having someone be powerless. It's also going from happy to sad. In the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, we're introduced to Audrey Hepburn's character, and one of the first scenes we see is her coming home with a man. And what this shows is we automatically make assumptions about Audrey Hepburn's character. We can tell by her coming home with a man, and a man who says that he paid for all of her friends' dinner and he expects something in return. We can tell that, one, people really like Audrey, or at least like her for her body, because that's what it seems like the man's trying to go for there. We believe since she's well liked, she must be happy because she's getting all this attention. However, though, this is completely untrue when she talks about the Mean Reds.
I'm crazy about Tiffany's. Listen, you know those days when you get the mean reds?
The Mean Reds? You mean like the Blues?
No. The blues are because you're getting fat or maybe it's been raining too long. You're just sad, that's all. The mean reds are horrible. Suddenly you're afraid and you don't know what you're afraid of. Did you ever get that feeling?
Sure.
What makes the light switch effect so effective, though, is the fact that as human beings, we either don't like change or we remember change. And the thing is that with these characters, and whether or not it's video games or movies, we have these assumptions about them. Automatically, we make assumptions about the characters. That's just how we are. So when we make assumptions about these characters, and then these assumptions get flipped or 180'd, we remember them because these are big changes. We're basically being told that everything that we know or everything that we think we know is pretty much a lie. And that's not what's going on. And I think that's what triggers the emotional reaction so well. It's the fact that basically everything that we think we know is not true at all.